everyone, and welcome to another episode of Headlines, DayOne's twice weekly show that covers all of the latest and greatest across the video game industry. We talk about all of the platforms here because we're nice like that, and there's a fair amount to go through, even though this morning I was sitting there thinking, yeah, it's a quiet week. It's a quiet time. There's not much going on. And then I looked at the showrunner and I was like, oh,
the
okay,
showrunner was full on Sunday, and it's only gotten more full.
Today's day is February 17th, 2026. And yeah, there is a fair amount to go through. So we're just going to get stuck in. But before we do that, we just wanted to draw your attention, make you aware of one of our latest reviews, which is live now on Playday.one, which is PlayStation 5 game. God of War Sons of Sparta, which is a Metroidvania that you sunk all of the time into over the weekend to get that review done. This was shadow dropped or released right now during Sony's State of Play last week. What did you think of it, Jess?
It was really bad early on, like very boring. It got to be okay by the middle, and then it was pretty good by the end. Essentially it is a prequel to, I think, Ghosts of Sparta, which was a PSP game, which introduced Deimos, I think. I'm not a God of War historian by any means, even though I've played most of them, but I never had a PSP. It's okay. It's not the time frame I would have wanted a 2D Metroidvania God of War to be set in. I would have really liked the God of War with his Chains of Olympus and all of his super moves and everything, instead of Bobby Hill Kratos as a teenager. Like, I don't know. It's an odd game of some really cool combat ideas that come together pretty well by the end, mixed with an overall bland story. That it's not a God of War story. It's a like coming of age Spartan story set in the God of War universe, starring the God of War. Very tonally different from the first trilogy, even though it's set before them. The narrative thing is it's Kratos talking to his daughter Calliope. For some reason, I had the word Persephone stuck in my head and said in the freaking review like an idiot. And he's recounting a story of his youth to her. It's all right. It's not bad. It's also not great, which I think God of War generally is. It's a weird one. I don't think it particularly looks good, though it also does not look bad. It just looks weirdly old and new. Like, it's a very different title from, say, like Ragebound or... Because Ragebound, as Nick said, it went for that full-on classic arcade look, where then Shinobi Art of Vengeance was like this gorgeous, living, breathing cartoon. And they played that way. This one plays both old and new. Like, it's got a lot of ideas on counters and parries and different attack types based on what you're holding and the direction, because there is still only one attack button. It breaks... you can't skip cutscenes unless you enable the ability to skip cutscenes, but that's only for specific cutscenes, and you can't skip dialogue, and you can't skip pre-boss animations, and some of those are like 20 seconds long, so every boss attempt has 20 seconds of preamble on it. Like, there's just a lot of weird things about the game.
I saw one of the weirder things that was causing some controversy online, and I have to admit, I read this superficially. I have not looked into it. But the game has two-player co-op, except you can't play two-player co-op until you've completed it as a single-player campaign.
And the co-op is only for challenge modes, like specific scenarios where you can then try and play them in co-op. Because essentially, it's supposedly Kratos and Deimos are always together, but Deimos is just always goes the other way. So you get a cutscene, they're together, they're talking, and then Deimos is like, okay, bye, and then he just runs off. But then at any point... Once you get to the next cutscene, Kratos yells, Deimos, here! And Deimos is there automatically. And then he's there in a few boss fights, though he barely does anything. He mostly just stands still. So, yeah, it's a weird one. It's a single-player game where eventually, if you've got a little brother you hate, you can tell them they can play with you, but they have to wait. It's an odd game. It's not bad. It's also just not good. It's okay. Like a lot of
Average.
like your basic heal and your double jump and a lot of the fun stuff takes about halfway through the game to get.
It's an unusual one, like to see that kind of reaction, and it's been pretty muted to positive across many publications. And I think most people are surprised to see the God of War as a franchise, which is, you know, one of Sony's premier big boys in the industry.
As we're going to talk about later, they're about to spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I'm all for unique games existing, so like cool that this is one. And obviously, if you want to check it out, you can watch the full review over on Playday.one or here on the YouTube channel. It's up to you. If you're curious and whether you want to drop some pennies on this one, go and check it out. In other us-related news, yesterday saw the new launch of the DayOne forums, which has had a big, shiny technical upgrade. We've moved everything across to new infrastructure, and it's had a lick of polish and some new features, and some of the stuff we're still going to be kind of tweaking and editing over the next couple of days. Because the platform that we're on, Discourse, for those forums is super malleable, very performant, very mobile first, and we can just turn cool stuff on. Like you'll notice, like instead of just a like on a post, you can actually react to a post with different emojis, and we can allow users to react with any emoji they want. We can turn on gamification of the forums, which means people get points for different things, and we can mess around with a whole bunch of stuff. Saw a little influx of new members yesterday as people realised it was live to come and join. People are obviously welcome to join.
Some who
it's
forgot
free
their
to
password and instead of just looking it up, made a new account.
Who did?
There was at least one person I saw who I know already had an account, made a new account.
Wow. But yeah, obviously any issues, problems, hiccups, please do let us know. Tag us on the forums or on our Discord, discord.gg/playday1. And we will get to fixing them. And the last couple of bits, and it's just a tease, there's a cool little preview dropping later on today. So keep an eye out on Playday.one.
If you've paid attention to our socials, you'd know what it probably is.
Yeah, you would, because we had someone out on assignment.
I'm out on assignment this week.
You are. Yeah, just before I went to DICE, I caught up with Gyotso, who came to London, mostly because he had a thing on the Monday, but he came on the Friday just to go to a series of underground raves, which looked, from my old perspective, horrifying. But he seemed to have fun. So we actually met up in a food hall in London near Liverpool Street and grabbed some grub because it was nice to be able to do that. We've been working with Gyotso for 6 years, and we haven't.
Is he taller than you, or is he same height as you?
No, he's the same height as me.
Wow. So many shorties here. But you know who's not a shorty?
Yeah, short kings, mate.
Oh, wrong button. Invadey, 1984. Thank you for joining the YouTube channel.
Oh, a fellow greybeard. If I'm just going that 1984 is your birth year, I'm right there with you, man. We're in our 40s and we're not particularly happy about it. And then the last thing, as you mentioned, you're on assignment this week, which means either Ursel will be here on Thursday to help run headlines,
if he set the whole thing up.
He is up for it, is he?
He said he was going to do it. He said he was going to have it all ready and set to go. I told him I'm not here on Thursday, so if you want to have it all set up and do the show with Jon, I can, you guys probably have to do the showrunner. But other than that, yeah.
Okay.
Just keep an eye out. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. Might not happen at all. Ursel might not turn up until like 1 minute before, and I'll be.
And there'll be no showrunner anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, there is a crazy amount of work going on behind the scenes at the moment. Like, I have to admit, I'm a little bit burnt out. I'm definitely feeling it. I think we've been burning the candle at both ends the last couple of weeks. But it's really, really fun. And Invadey, new member in the chat, says, I was born in 92, so he's just made me feel old. 1984 is a reference to the novel. Well,
makes sense.
You enjoy being younger than me, all right? Son of a... Anyways, Let's dive into the news of the week so far, which starts with our headline topic about PlayStation 6 and Nintendo. The big one here being a report from Bloomberg, which sees that the rampant AI memory crisis has seen a number of things happen. You know, we've seen the Steam Deck kind of run out of stock in the US as they grapple with that particular problem. But we've also seen estimates that PlayStation 6, which was scheduled to perhaps launch maybe somewhere around 2027, could be delayed by a year or longer.
Your
even
best
up to
bet for knowing
2029.
it's not launching then is that Moore's Law is dead keeps yelling it will. And his whole bag is being wrong about PlayStation hardware. He's like, it's full RDNA 5 and it's coming in 2027. And then Tom Warren popped into our Discord and is like, man, he is always wrong. Which is fun.
Yeah, well, I don't pay attention to YouTubers particularly. But yeah, I guess this leads to that broader question is if Microsoft are pushing forward with a 2027 launch, which Dr. Lisa Su was quoted as saying a few weeks ago that they can support, will this change anything? And I've seen a lot of reactions saying, good, delay next gen. We've barely seen, these consoles, this current generation of Series X and PlayStation 5 hardware kind of push beyond its current
They are pushed harder than they can be now. Like you can look at the bigger games and they were mid to low range. They were like upper middle mid to lower mid between the Series X and the PS5 to low spec on the Series S at the start of the gen. They were like 2070 equivalents or something.
God knows.
It's already old ass hardware, and for the people that were ever going to buy the next gen, they want and will appreciate newer hardware.
And this is the thing.
They're very different targets as well.
Yeah, like if Sony's PlayStation 6, and we've heard rumors about a handheld as well. If they're targeting, and they're still sticking to that classic way of doing things, i.e., sell hardware, subsidize it as best you can, hardware sales count for all. We want to sell 100 million of these things. I guess it makes sense to wait and see what happens with this shortage of RAM and memory and all of this jazz. However, when it comes to Xbox, because their next console is a PC, I'm kind of like, does it really matter when it launches? No. Like genuinely, once these chips are available for OEM partners and anything, we could get different Xbox hardware every 6 months to a year. Like not from Microsoft, but from various OEM partners. You could have Razer make some $2,500 monstrosity. Yeah, you could have Microsoft keep it a bit more svelte and premium within their range of like reference hardware. Does it matter?
Well, I don't
understand why people are like, no, we don't want any.
Sony would be going for, we're going to make 100 million of these throughout a decade or more. Whereas Microsoft would be like, okay, you're making 500,000 of those. That's one of the bigger SKUs. We're making a couple of million of ours to start with. Like their actual, the prices are really bad, or it's hard to get the parts. Well, when you're not trying to make as many, you're not as hindered by that. So your prices might go up. Like the part of the report is Switch 2 price might finally go up because they've kind of pulled all the levers they can when you think about it. The friggin' dock on this thing's $130. It's like a $20 piece, but they just put a ridiculous markup on it to try and make up for losing money on the hardware. PlayStation and Nintendo will run out of their stock eventually. But the next gen for Sony will be severely hamstrung on what they would want to do if they have a portable. Because the portable... Yeah,
I'm curious how this is going to work.
Portable plays all PS4 games, all PS6 games, streams all the PS5 games, and ones that get patched could probably run on it. Because even in the low power mode on PS5 is still like 115 watts, and a handheld wants 17 to 25. Like, You're still going to have to patch and go in and do that, and that means it's not going to be all. It's going to be some PS5 games. But if you've got, say, 16 gigs of RAM on your handheld, maybe 20, 24, probably 16 now with the way things are going, all PS6 games need to be made to work on that. So if you've got the rumored 24 or 30 on the console, it doesn't really change that much because you still have to be able to run at 16 on the handheld version. And you're still trying to make many millions of everything. And so this RAM-pocalypse is going to hit anyone harder that's trying to build at scale. So it could be one of those things where it's like Microsoft wasn't planning for this to help, to be like less of a pain for them. But much like having Series S profiles for handheld games, potential handheld games for something, a handheld that can run your Series S games in the future, they might have lucked into the fact that, well, if we sell 10 to 15 million of these, we'd be ecstatic because we're not losing money on them anymore because their entire focus is margins. It's not, and I keep seeing people have a hard time be like, oh, they're just going to keep on losing hardware customers. And it's like the Take-Two guy, I think it was Zelnick, pretty much intimated they're over 50 million series consoles sold. And I know people always have like 20 million in their head, maybe 30. But if you've got 50 million people, you've got that many people who have built up a library. And if every RDNA GPU can be a backwards compatible Xbox, they have this big range of SKUs that can hit anywhere from, who knows, probably at this point, $1,000 to $3,000. There's an audience for that, and you can keep people locked into your ecosystem. And the very long-term play from Xbox is still to try and get their platform everywhere. Have all the have like the EU and the actual countries that care just knock down the monopolistic barriers, as they will try and call them.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine last night, funnily enough, as I was playing through a game that I'm working on for review, and we were just chatting about, and he's much more of a, this is my spare time if I have a moment hobby. This isn't like, he doesn't live and breathe gaming in the way that perhaps you or I do, or perhaps some of the people watching us right now do. And I was chatting to him. I was like, how would you feel if like next gen consoles, bearing in mind that Microsoft released a handheld with Asus this year that cost $1,000.
It just went $200 more in Japan.
Yeah. I had that on the news run. But like, how would you feel if like the next Xbox or the next PlayStation is pushing £800 or higher? Like, would that make you take pause? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, so question, if this is like a fun hobby for you and that system lasts you for 7 to 8 years, is it still too much? I'm just curious. Like, I was just trying to like feel through it. And he was like, it still would make me take a moment and have a real think. And I was talking about like the proposed path forward that Microsoft see, which is this OEM variant of hardware where you have the lowest spec that is acceptable,
but it's also still
and game scale
better. It's still better than 4080 if the Magnus is true, which is crazy compared to what we had last gen. Because love him or hate him because he's on NeoGAF, Kepler L2 has been like, depending on what they go for wattage wise, the next Xbox could be roughly 30 to 50% stronger than the next PlayStation, because they're just going for it, because they're lower. You know, they've got a very different plan, whereas PlayStation definitely seems like they're willing to cut things out and cut performance down to try and keep their costs down, because the more hardware they sell, the worse their margins are. And their margins are... It's funny, I've changed that. I have changed the title of the thing. It just won't actually bother saying the new name. But thank you, my brother, who joined the YouTube channel. It should say Day One supporter. I have 100% changed it, but they're very annoying at YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube is a bit rubbish in this regard.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, because we see like the whole story. So the first two stories are essentially PlayStation 6 was targeting 2027, but could be delayed to 2028 or even 2029. Nintendo Switch might finally raise their prices on the actual console, and Steam Deck will be intermittently out of stock at times, and they're all because of the RAM shortage. And it's a shortage only created by OpenAI when they bought up like half of all the RAM being made this year for no reason other than to keep competitors from catching up, even though competitors have already kind of flown by them in some points. And even Microsoft is kind of dropping them in some ways.
It's interesting comment in the chat from
Nate.
You're just going to keep interrupting me?
He joined. I know you hate our patrons and people who give us money, but I was like, oh, he joined too.
I was like, speaking of Nate State Games, who has joined as a supporter, appreciate you. Thanks for coming and hanging out.
Oh.
They shared a comment saying higher cost, like that buy-in cost of hardware for next generation is certainly going to be on the cards here. But is it offset by, as they pointed out, more access, more libraries, more stores, more games? And like, look, you can have your console war tribal camps wherever you want to pitch your tent and pitch your flag and be like, this one's the best. If it's about actual video games, like in just playing new stuff, I think that the idea of being able to download anything from anywhere and it run well is quite compelling. Mm-hmm. Like I love, like, as much as I have my doubts and I have my problems with the current Xbox full screen experience on my ROG Asus Republic of Gamers Xbox LIX Windows 11 handheld gaming PC, it has changed how I game. It has fundamentally changed where I game. Because I will often now, like I sit here all the time working, and then when I actually want to just play video games and step away, 9 times out of 10, I lay down in bed with my handheld and play something smaller. So
I tried doing that.
And the idea that I will be able to buy stuff and it will run on that device and this other device, and it will all follow me around wherever I want to play. I don't get why the industry is so against that as an idea. There's so much pushback, and I'm like, wait, what? Why?
I've talked to you again about having to use the Switch 2 is kind of a whatever, very basic, doesn't really do much UI. The PlayStation 6 is incredibly annoying, or PlayStation 5 is a inferior user experience to the Xbox overall. Same goes with Nintendo, really, but people are used to it. And when you're used to it, and it's what you know, and it's where your friends are, and it's where the people, like, it's where your library is, it's where specific games are that you want, then it doesn't matter. You put up with it because it's what you know, and it's what you're willing to do. And it's kind of like it just works Apple people, where it's like, it used to. It doesn't really anymore, but you're used to the idiosyncrasies of how iOS works, and so learning Android would be way more annoying than just dealing with the issues you already have. And I did realize why it still says Xbox Era supporter. They have to verify any name changes on the tiers. I don't know why.
Gee whiz, take your time.
Yeah, I did it a week and a half ago or whatever it is now, and it's still not done.
It's worth mentioning as well that whilst we're doing all the stuff, Playday.one is now live. It is now the main URL, which was a nervous thing to do yesterday. Like, there's a screenshot that I shared in our staff Discord where I'm like, speaking to our back-end supporter, our business team, and I'm like, so if I press this button, everything will work 100%, nothing will break, and everything will be fine. And they were like, yes. I was like, I've got you, like, on record, 100%, no issues. And they're like, yep, 100%. If there is an issue, just ping us, but like, it'll be fine. And indeed, I just literally went click, and then within 30 seconds it had all done correctly. So it's interesting for us as a team that have built this channel and this website up over the last 6.5, nearly 7 years now. It is very strange for us to kind of just trust this and then see the potential knock that it might have on our web authority and other things like this. But to see it all kind of smoothly progressing, and I'm hoping if Predrag gets enough free time this week, we'll be able to start seeing the first glimpses of the new website design, which if you haven't seen it yet, go watch the day one announcement video. The new website is going to be so pretty. And if you're a member, an actual member of the team logged in on Playday.one, no ads at all in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. And I see some people in like it's still youtube.com/Xbox era. That will never change. They do not allow it to. So anything that's tied to that, like the Streamlab stuff, it's always going to be that. They do not let you change it. It's very annoying. But they're like, no, you're because they don't do them anymore. Like new channels only get the @ So youtube.com/@PlayDayOne will bring you right here. But the custom URL stuff they don't do anymore, and so you can't change anymore, which is annoying. But yeah, it's been weird. Really makes me question if we ever really see the Steam machine. And if we do,
well, you think that they potentially might just cancel the whole thing?
Well, they can't make Steam Decks, which are selling just fine. And they need more of those to make the Steam machine. So unless the Steam machine is really marked up, is it worth it for them? Because again, their aim for the Steam machine was for a subset of Steam Deck users who like to dock their Steam Deck to a TV. Like it wasn't a mass market device already. It's tough.
The Rampocalypse, man. It's got many victims. Many victims. Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. Speaking of the Rampocalypse, one last thing. We did briefly mention it in that kind of discussion there. Was that the ROG Xbox Ally X has had its first price increase in Japan. I first saw this reported over on Pure Xbox this morning, but it's actually from Automaton Media, which the original report is in Japanese, so I can't read that. So I will reference the Pure Xbox one, but basically on launch, the Xbox Ally X cost 139,800 yen in Japan, and now it's gone up to 169,800 yen. That's a $200 price bump when you convert that to US currency, though the base model is still available at the same price. So if you want to just get a standard Xbox Ally, but yeah, you can see that 24 gig of ultra fast LP, DDR, whatever RAM coming in clutch and making everything more expensive there in Japan, at least.
Which probably stinks for them because that's one of the bigger handheld markets. Though it is a big handheld, which might go against
it is a big handheld.
It's funny. It's a big handheld, but it's way more comfortable and feels lighter than the Switch 2 does.
Yeah, it's so much more comfortable than the Switch 2.
Has the worst ergonomics I've ever used without a case. Like I have one on order now because I have to, because it is impossible. And even with a case, I don't think it's going to work with my hands. I cannot use Joy-Cons.
Yeah. I'm not here, guys. I just had a little friend come in to say hello. It's Boots, everyone. Boots the cat, and she's a good girl. Aren't you, darling? So yeah, there you go. The Rampocalypse takes no mercy. In other news, Game Pass drop Wave 2 for February is announced today. After a little bit of teasing, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is on the list, as well as a bunch of other games. What have we got joining the service this time around, Jess?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm sorry, I was looking up Kingdom Come 2 to put it on screen. So last night, one joined pretty late. That was called Ariel_Knights Drop Shot, which looks like some weird first-person shooter thing. I think that's a day one. Death Howl, which is absolutely amazing, finally hits consoles and cloud on the 19th. It's already on PC. Console and cloud also get EA Sports College Football 26. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition comes back. Only cloud and console. They didn't do a PC port, unfortunately. That the TCG Card Shop Simulator hits game preview. We saw that one at a partner preview, I think back in February. Dice A Million comes only to PC, at least to start. There's a lot of like variants. Everything had been cloud, console, PC for a bit. This one's got a more of a mix. Towerborn hits 1.0. I'm sure we can look forward to maybe some eventual coverage from you on that as the one who's played it the most on the site. Final Fantasy 3 in their monthly Final Fantasy drops hits on March 3rd. And then the big one being Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 hits 2.5 weeks after Kingdom Come Deliverance does. It's coming on March 3rd, and that's Play Anywhere, it looks like, for both of them.
Yeah, it's really cool, and great for people who want really in-depth, big RPGs to chew on. So there's plenty of medieval role-playing to be had across both of those, especially if you want to experience the whole story and all of that jazz.
And March is already full. Like, March is just crazy.
There's so much coming out that it's kind of nuts. It's cool to see Death Howl arrive on Game Pass for console. I know you were a big fan when you reviewed the PC version last year. So definitely one to check out for people who want a kind of Soulsy, yet more cerebral thinking experience type game. Interesting that The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is coming back, the complete edition to cloud and console, February 19th. There's all this scuttlebutt about an additional Witcher expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the time? Like, you know, maybe a little while, it's on Game Pass, boom, the expansion comes out. Oh, well, I've got it on Game Pass. I may as well just drop some money on that expansion and it will just work. It would be pretty savvy to do that way. And Towerborn, yeah, man, I feel for Stoic. Like, if you've seen our coverage of Towerborn back when it released into early access, then it released into early access on console with a slew of updates. This was pitched as a live service, free-to-play brawler. And they announced on Steam, when they announced this 1.0 release, that they have moved away from that idea. So this is a developer that's looking at the market, reacting to the player feedback from their community and just this industry in general, and have opted to make this 1.0 release a premium. You buy it, you play it with your pals, it's a one and done. Like, you can go back and take on higher difficulties and stuff, but there's no, we're going to try and make this the game that you play forever and ever, which when I look at the wider market, I'm like, good idea. Like, I'm so much happier to see this.
Place it launched to. Why did it do split screen? I do not want split screen. Edge. I'm trying to show off the Steam database. There, that got rid of it. If you look at the Steam charts for the lifetime of Towerborn, and obviously it's in Game Pass on Xbox, so it'll probably be higher, but...
And this is a paid-for early access purchase. Like, you have to buy it.
It's been under 100 people concurrently for most of its life, down in the teens for the last many months. Like, there's 18 people playing it on Steam right now. There's too many games, and eventually, if you don't really pop off, like, in the most they ever popped off was 1,300 in a day, and then that was gone within 2 weeks. So it's really hard. It's not good enough to be good, and early access can be as big a hindrance as it is a bonus.
Yeah. And when you're sitting up and you're looking at this just in March alone, the releases that are coming out, because they're releasing, I think, February 26th into 1.0. I will be bringing some coverage of the final 1.0 release for people that are interested. I've always described this as like Castle Crashers, but a little bit more grown up, a little bit deeper, for people that miss that kind of side-scrolling co-op brawler experience. But they've also got to compete against, we've got Scott Pilgrim EX, another side-scrolling brawler coming out, I think, on March the 3rd. We've got Marathon coming out very early on. We've got Replaced. Replaced is like absolutely tippity top of my anticipated list for this first quarter. We've got Greedfall: The Dying World. We've got Monster Hunter Stories 3. We've got John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. Like, there are too many games. Like, I don't even know yet how we're going to be able to cover all of these in a decent enough way. To the point, and that's not mentioning we've got Resident Evil Requiem coming soon. Like, there's too much.
Some people have Resident Evil Requiem coming soon.
Some people do. Some people do.
Maybe not us.
Crimson Desert. Oh God. Mm-hmm. There's too many games.
Crimson Desert, I feel good that will make that list. I think Planet Alana Replaced, a lot of things will be good on. Toxic Commando, Marathon. So there will be WWE 2K26 hits early March, and I end up doing that every year. So yeah, there's just too much. There's too much for people to play and all buy at full price, and then say
Mouse
I
PI
support.
for hire.
Oh yeah, mouse PI for hire. There's it's hard to properly support the devs as much as we would all like to, because we're also all going broke in this K-shaped economy.
Yep. Oh man, it's nuts. It is nuts. I'm like, okay. Anyways, let's move on, but we'll be right back after these handy messages.
This is Console Wars, the card game. Featuring more famous video games than you can shake a stick at, Console Wars finally allows you to win a war you've been fighting and probably losing on the internet your entire life. Quit being a keyboard warrior with the warm embrace of anonymity to protect you. Now you and your friends can fight on the front lines, battling for incredible franchises, exclusivity, and eventual victory. Collect some of the most famous video game franchises of all time. Protect them with loyal and frighteningly dedicated fans. Brave the volatile video game industry and claim the ultimate victory in the console wars. Your favorite video game making mega corporation needs you. Enlist today. Head to consolewarsgame.com. Pick up a copy of Console Wars the card game, outshine your rivals, and prove that your platform reigns supreme. Out now.
Welcome back. If you're interested in picking up a copy of Console Wars the card game, you can do so right now by heading over to Amazon in the UK or the US, and it ships everywhere in Europe, more or less, and Canada and Mexico as well. So, why not pick up a fun video game industry themed card game designed by us? Because, that's cool. And if you missed the announcement, yes, we are working on making that into an actual video game to be played on your video game machines. We've partnered with an award-winning UK-based publisher, developer, to try and make that a reality. And I had some really good conversations at DICE about making that happen, and we will share more when we're able to share more. Until then, any support is obviously appreciated. Next up in news, speaking of a metric butt ton of video games, PlayStation last week had a state of play which brought the goods for the majority of people. Over the course of an hour, they dropped a bevy of updates for games that you knew about, new things, including that God of War Sons of Sparta game, and a bunch of other stuff. I think we saw, and I'm just ad-libbing here off the top of my head, a God of War original trilogy remake announced that's coming. We don't know too much about that apart from that it's being worked on. We saw Dead or Alive, a new Dead or Alive game announced. We saw new gameplay from Control Resonant. We saw Beast of Reincarnation, which is a multi-platform game, but a Game Pass release from Game Freak that was featured in the Developer Direct in January. Get an announcement for the release date, which is August 4th.
Which is weird. It wasn't at the Developer Direct with the release date.
It is weird, but, whatevs. We saw gameplay from Galactic Racer. We saw a giant steroid-induced chicken in Project Windless, is it, that one? Mm-hmm. We even saw a John Wick game get announced from Saber Interactive. There is a whole bevy of things. A lot of it, if you're an Xbox fan, and we appreciate that a lot of our audience are Xbox fans, a lot of them are coming to Xbox. So feel free to go check out playday.one for the article with all of that info on there. One of those announcements, though, was around Legacy of Kain. And this confused me a little bit because Legacy of Kain had an announcement, but there was only one game in the state of play. Yeah, but there are actually two Legacy of Kain things. Yeah. What?
So Legacy of Kain was a Defiance remastered, I think, is like the third one, the one after Soul Reaver, if memory serves. Right. And there's one more. But Legacy of Kain Ascendance was also announced alongside it, but was not listed in the state of play, even though the trailer went up on Sony's YouTube channel. But then it was immediately in an Xbox News, Xbox Wire blog post. It's a little like old 8-bit looking, more than Ninja Gaiden Ragebound style, 2D platformer, actually, hack and slash. We'll see exactly what type of game. Both games, including the remaster, which is coming, I think, directly from Crystal and not Aspire this time. So that's why it looks so much better. Are Play Anywhere games on Xbox. So buy them once, get them on both, which invariably is the way I want to play everything moving forward.
Yeah, it does play in massively. I get really annoyed when I have a code, especially, and I know this is like first world problems of the video games media, but like if I get given review code, and I know that eventually the review code will be Xbox Play Anywhere, but if it doesn't work when I'm given it, it really pisses me off because I want to be able to dot from my handheld to my PC to my console, and when it doesn't allow me to, like because someone hasn't flipped the appropriate switch, Romeo is a Dead Man is a good one.
They
for
had
that.
the wrong date. So it wasn't the wrong Switch. It was literally listed as coming out in like December of last year, which they're not in sync, so it just wouldn't show up. But if you could have found it through the Microsoft Store, not the Xbox.
I did, and it installed, but it wouldn't launch.
Yeah, okay, probably because of the wrong date. Then,
it just went. It said like this person doesn't have permission to play this. I'm like, I do, I do have permission. Let me play. Yeah, it is one of those things. And I think, like, we spoke a little bit on the podcast on Saturday. GDC this year, which is in March, big focus from Microsoft, tons of talks all about Xbox Play Anywhere, focusing on what it's like for developers to, get a game working, their PC version working in a day, and stuff like that. So I expect to be bringing back lots of interesting detail from GDC around all of this. So keep an ear out, keep an eye out on the channel. I'll be here to chat.
Any PR people watching, I'm really sick of getting Steam Next Fest demo emails. I'm sorry. I'm at like 128, I counted. And it hasn't even started yet.
128 Steam Next Fest.
It'll be like 400 or 500 by the time the actual event ends.
Nisahara in the chat, is Darwin's Paradox Play Anywhere? I don't know, but I plan on reviewing that one, so I'll let you know when I know.
Outside of old deals, Konami's all in on the Xbox ecosystem generally, because Silent Hill Townfall from the State of Play is not coming to Xbox at launch, but Darwin's Paradox lists both Xbox Series X and S and PC on its store page, so it should be good.
Sounds like it. Yeah, sounds like Play Anywhere to me. It's going to be good.
Yeah, Play Anywhere is the tag that says I will do at least all of this, but you can also just do all of that and then forget to hit the tag. And that happens all the time with publishers.
Anyways, loads of info there. Head over to the website to read more about the state of play. But yes, indeed. Speaking of loads, heavy loads, Become. How do we say this game?
I thought it was,
is a new game coming to fit. No, it's just Become. But like there's some double entendre in there, right?
Yeah.
Become is a new game that was announced as coming to Steam later on this year, where you play as a teeny tiny sperm who's left some balls and is on an adventure to create life. It looks amusing. The developer has noticed that there's no nudity or sex in the game. It just references reproductive processes and things of that nature. I mean, this looks quite fun. What a cool idea for a video game.
Pubic lice shown, which is always gross.
Yep, or ending up in a sock somewhere. Has any man watching this show ever actually done that? Even as a teenager, I don't think I ever used a sock. Like, I know that there's a joke around that, but come on. Have some decorum, people. Become. I'm so immature. Anyways, whether it will come to console remains to be seen, but we'll keep an eye out. Anyway, next up, in other news, Xbox is shutting down social clubs this April. If you didn't know what that was, don't be surprised. It's a thing that no one really uses because Discord is now linked on all the consoles and we don't really need to have a club. You can read more about it over on the website, but effectively they are individual player setup clubs to find like-minded players and to kind of congregate them. It was just underutilized, underserviced, and is now being shut down. Official clubs, which are developer supported for individual titles, are going to remain, as is the very ready unused feature, looking for group, which I think is still quite popular on consoles for players looking to connect with other gamers. They'll all be unaffected by this, but goodbye social clubs in April of 2026. We've got a few, right? We had a Forza Horizon 5 club that was pretty popular. You know, we barely maintained it because there's too much to do.
Yeah, pretty much. If you are not playing the game all the time, you're not thinking about the club, unfortunately.
Exactly right.
But they're keeping the things people use. It's one of those things where it's like, this is a cool feature, but I get why they're getting rid of it. Like avatars. No one used them in the long run.
If they gave avatars and all of the tech and all of the stuff that you could buy to dress up your virtual you, and they just let any developers make games with that tech, I think you could have seen some cool avatar
There's
games.
an issue,
but they
though.
didn't.
It just comes down to more work for developers, and that's unless there's some big financial incentive, they're going to ignore it, and that's what happened.
Yeah,
like even Mii's, the Mii's were so big, they're not much of a thing anymore. Like it's just whenever you're going to give developers more work, you probably have to subsidize it and pay for it in some way, and everyone's just not interested in that anymore.
I'm just sad that we'll never see another 1 versus 100. But there you go. Anyways, last few news stories here. Let's talk about some miserable stuff. 10 Chambers layoffs. They have announced that the co-founders have been laid off amid significant restructuring. These are the developers of GTFO and Den of Wolves.
You remember Den of Wolves? It's the one that had that weird announce where they had like a bunch of content creators sitting in a room talking about it. And
yeah, vaguely.
Like, another one of these? And it still hasn't come out. And now, yeah, like the industry around anything above truly indie games is incredibly bad right now. It's just, not good. For every Arc Raiders, you have 500 failures. Because there was almost 20,000 games on Steam last year. Most of them didn't make $100. Like,
that's crazy.
That's just the reality of it. There is essentially too much. It's great for us, but there's also then the reality that it's bad for the people making them because they just have an insane amount of competition for people's attention and money.
Yeah.
It's like brutal. With our next story, where even though it popped off way more than people like to think, wasn't enough.
Yeah. So 10 Chambers, they've had layoffs. That's a bummer. Highguard, we saw launch last month. Ursel went to the preview for it. He really enjoyed himself. But a developer at the Wildlight Entertainment developer that's now had almost everybody laid off apart from some lead people to maintain the game, did a big old post, which he's since deleted, according to this link that no longer works, that really called out a lot of the toxic online gaming discourse that kind of celebrated the game not succeeding.
Ragebait
and I
culture.
can't read any of it anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but I don't necessarily fully disagree with the premise in that there seems to be a contingent of people that find a victim every couple of months, and then there's a whole economy around it of YouTube creators just get it, like just throwing digs in, throwing punches, like grinding them down.
I got an article if you want some of the quotes and stuff.
It's, I mean, we've spoken about it at length.
Yeah, it was pretty much the game had issues, but you can't overcome them if so much of the culture around covering games and talking about them is dancing on your grave the moment. Like the everything was set. And it wasn't, we all could imagine it was not Jeff Keighley's intent to put a target on this game. But
he did.
Yeah, there was an enormous target on it. And when a game is free to play, it needs not only a big player base, which it had, it hit fairly well on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation. You need those people to spend money. And they must not have to have all this have happened. And a big part of that is because, well, I'm only checking it out because I heard all this toxic culture and like, oh, my friend, people I know, they're all shitting on it. I'm not going to throw money at this. It's Conquered 2.0, and you manifest those things as much as anything else because the game's not bad. The game's fine. It should have been able to last long enough to either live or die on its own merits, but instead it was essentially pretty much dead from December 12th or whatever it was on.
Yeah. Yep, it's a shame. I feel for them. This industry is brutal and cruel. But thankfully, if you're watching this channel, if you're on this website, you're in a place where we try not to do the whole let's get angry, let's get clickbaity. We just love video games, man. So if you're here and you equally feel a certain amount of love for this incredible medium that is crazy and complicated and in many ways shouldn't exist, and are tired of just a whole machine on this industry that wants to just constantly shit on everything, you're in the right place. We'll tell you if a game's sucky, but we'll be nice about it.
Yeah,
it's not hard.
It's constructive criticism.
Yeah. Like, I hate writing a mean review, but I'll just be nice about it. Like, I can see what you were trying to achieve here. But you failed. But hey-ho, there you go. Last couple of things here. Jason Schreier was indeed at DICE. I glimpsed him several times at various tables, deep in conversation with people. And he put a post out via Bloomberg with a general premise that video games need to be cheaper. And he wrote, at DICE, where executives gather to schmooze, down cocktails, and hear pitches, Claire Obscure came up a lot. Independent developers seeking funding were inevitably confronted with comparisons. Well, Claire Obscure did what you want to do for less money. And many were wondering what lessons they could take away from the acclaimed RPG. And Jason Schreier mused. He said, here's one I've been thinking about a lot. Video games need to be cheaper to buy. And he references Claire Obscure launching at $50, which is less than your traditional video game price of $70. But it also had a 20% discount at launch on Steam. So it's actually $40, which is even cheaper. So from a gamer's perspective, oh, great. I think there's some conversation to be had here. Like, there are so many games that have launched recently that even that we've reviewed where I'm like, 40, that's a bit too much, that needs to be cheaper for what that is. And, when we've talked a little bit like about how much we would price Console Wars the card game, for example. If we were going to make that a video game, which we obviously are trying to do, what would that cost on Steam? Do you know what it would cost, Jesse? Do you know what price we'd be targeting?
I don't know. I would imagine it wouldn't be that much.
$15 is what we would try and target. Like, impulse buy territory, because that's the type of game that it should be. Something that you have fun with friends. If that pops off and does well for us, amazing. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But that feels fair for what it is. So we'll see. We'll see where we land up. Like, someone might quote me in a year's time being like, you lied. Why is it $29.99? I'll be like, I don't know. But yeah, if you want to read Jason Schreier's musings, you can head over to Bloomberg to do that. I don't disagree with him, though. I think that all of these big games need to really have a think about pricing. I'm seeing so much success from smaller developers, AA developers, launching at $30 to $40 price ranges, depending upon the game. It feels like the smart move.
It was pointed out by Matt Piscatella that it won't change anything, because right now the way the industry is, the price insensitive will buy it no matter what. So all you're doing is losing extra money because they were going to buy it anyways, and everyone else is still going to wait on a sale. And the same 10 games are going to dominate the money-making charts every week, no matter what. He has no answer.
Yeah. It's a good point. And last couple of ones here. Clickout Media, who own The Escapist, have pivoted to AI and hold mass layoffs. This comes via our friends at Insider Gaming. And they own, Clickout Media own Esports Insider and The Escapist. Mike Straw has written an article here.
0-4, Mike Straw.
A little bit about this. He's 0 for 2. It doesn't rhyme, but he's 0 for 2. Sad to say that my role at The Escapist is up for redundancy, and that means a lot of things that I'm still not quite getting my head around, The Escapist writer Lloyd Coombs wrote.
And The Escapist had already kind of fallen into being looked at as a joke.
Second wind went off to create stuff.
They lost most of their
right?
people. They were already essentially looked at as a clickbait, rage bait, mill of SEO crap. So what does this even mean?
Yeah. Insider Gaming understands that the company is making a heavy pivot to AI-based content, resulting in almost all of its editorial staff being let go. It was said that ClickOut Media will be maintaining a skeleton crew of AI editors. It also believes that employees being let go are being forced to sign an NDA from speaking publicly about the layoffs at risk of not receiving their severance payouts. That's fucking awful.
Every single one of these gaming media conglomerates is awful, from what I've heard.
Yep.
From people who have worked at them. They're all bad. Every last one. There's not a good one.
That's bad. Bad. That's just, that's horrible. Last news story for Final Fantasy VII fans. The third part of the Final Fantasy VII remake will not compromise on graphics whatsoever, despite obviously it releasing on all platforms. That is according to director Naoki Hamaguchi. He's addressed concerns and that they shouldn't worry about, if it's multi-platform, it's suddenly going to get some graphical downgrade because it's releasing on Switch 2 and Xbox Series X and S. They're still going to, tackle it and make it pretty. So that's nice.
It's still Unreal Engine 4, so I wouldn't expect, they all of their pipeline, they've said, is Unreal Engine 4. They're not shifting to 5, so expect nice-looking characters and kind of still bland-looking environments. And it should run just fine. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not fussed because
I didn't like the first one. The second one was way too long, and I couldn't care less about the third one. But I'm very happy for all the people who have bad taste and are looking forward to it.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all of the news, everybody. We appreciate you for coming and hang out with us today. If you did like the stream, do hit that like button.
Ursula said he will be ready for Thursday.
All right.
Also, in good news, the Xbox International podcast has moved away from the AI thumbnails and is back to using his own face. I like it. Thank you. I know I called it out before, so maybe he watched it and he was like, you know what? They're right. This AI just always looks bad. Just do your own little fun ones. And he used to have some fun ones, and now he's back to it, so I like it. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad to see this. We'll be back on Thursday then, Ursula and myself, for another edition of Headlines. Until then, keep an eye on Playday.one for all of the latest and greatest in video game news, reviews, and a cool preview in 3 minutes. Oh my God, I said it. Oh, I shouldn't have said it. I'm going to be in trouble now, but you should just keep an eye on the website. 3 minutes, this channel right now, for a cool video that I very quickly rendered and edited this morning because we were like, isn't there a preview going out today? And Gyotso was like, yeah. I was like, is there footage? He was like, yeah. I was like, shall I make a video? He was like, yeah.
He screamed it at you. All right, bye everyone.
He did
Ciao
scream
for now.
it at me. Bye everyone.